Hi there. Today we're going to talk about how to do screencasting, and I'm going to start from the very beginning and go all the way through the very end to get all of the steps. So we've talked about this on PD days before, and I've always suggested using a program called Screencast-O-Matic. So first of all, let's talk about how to get to Screencast-O-Matic. Screencast-O-Matic itself is a website. You can see it right here. What I would suggest doing though, because it seems to work a little better, is to actually download and install Screencast-O-Matic directly to your computer. And you can do that by clicking here. So I've already downloaded Screencast-O-Matic to my computer. So when I go up to my Spotlight search and I search for Screencast-O-Matic, I can find it and it pops up right away. So when using Screencast-O-Matic, there's a few different ways that you can go about doing it. You can use it as a way to record like a review. You can use it as a way to teach a new concept. You can use it as a way to differentiate. So maybe you record a little mini lesson for one group of kids so that you can meet one-on-one with another group of kids. I mean, it's really flexible. Okay, so when I open up Screencast-O-Matic, this is what it looks like. It kind of looks like an outline here. I've got some recording tools down below. So let's say, for example, I want to do a quick review lesson for my students who just aren't quite getting it and would maybe benefit from hearing the lesson a couple more times or being able to watch it and pause it on their own. So many teachers, as you know, have PowerPoints that they already utilize to help teach concepts to their students. So here's one I created about adding fractions. Okay? So this could be like a review, an adding fractions review. When using a PowerPoint versus doing the full screen, I kind of suggest doing it this way where I might just click through the slides. And the reason I would suggest that is when you go full screen with Screencast-O-Matic, sometimes it's a little harder to manage. So let's kind of pretend that I'm just about to record this for my students, and here's how I might do it. When I'm ready to go, I'm going to click this red button along the bottom, and you're going to see that I'll get a 3, 2, 1 countdown before it actually starts recording. 3, 2, 1. Go. Okay, so now it's actually recording. So let's model what I might do for my students. Okay? Hi there, students. Today I'm recording an adding fractions review video for you. Remember, there are 3 steps to adding fractions. Step 1, make sure the bottom numbers are the same. Step 2, add the numbers. And step 3, simply, you notice that I just messed up there? Well, the really cool thing about Screencast-O-Matic is if I pause, I can actually click this back button and back up a few seconds. When I start recording again, it picks up right where I rewound back to. So if I mess up a word, or if I said something and it didn't quite sound right and I want to re-say it so that it's really clear for the kids, I don't have to start from scratch. I can just snip off a few seconds and then continue on. When I start recording again, it will ask me whether I want to truncate or continue at the end, and I want to truncate back to the 33 seconds. It'll give me a countdown and I can start recording again. So moving on here, let's practice. Step 1, make sure the bottom numbers, the denominators, are the same. And in this example, they are. I won't bother you by going through this entire equation, but you can really see how this would be a great tool for students to review concepts in your class with your explanations, your voice, your way of explaining it, but just giving kids a little more time to process it and a few more times to watch it. You also may have noticed that when I paused, I was able to pick up and start recording again. So you don't have to worry about having this long, drawn-out script. You can record one screen, pause it, prepare what you're going to say for the next part, and then start recording again. You can go up to 15 minutes. And that's plenty of time because after 15 minutes, frankly, that may be a bit too long for the kids to focus on one single video anyhow. So keep it short and sweet, but it's a great way for you to do an I do, we do, you do kind of review or practice for students. Another way that you might utilize your Screencast-O-Matic is by using our Air Server feature on our computers. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on Air Server with my iPad. And as you know, what Air Server does is it really reflects your iPad on the Mac screen. So if I take my reflected image of my iPad and just put my Screencast-O-Matic screen around it, I can actually create a video recording or a screencast showing my iPad. All right, so now what you can see is I've actually arranged my Screencast-O-Matic dotted lines around the reflection of my iPad, so I can show kids how to do something on the iPad in a screencast. So for example, if I open up EduCreations, which is an app most of our kids are pretty familiar with, I could actually annotate something or write something and show the kids how to use it. So for example, in that PowerPoint example, I had, the actual equations written out already, but we know that kids need to show their work, and sometimes it's beneficial for us to model that in a video. So I might record and actually show the work. Hi kids, in this review video we're going to talk about adding fractions. So let's say I have a fraction 1/4, and we're going to add that to the fraction 2/4. We remember that our first step is to make sure that the bottom numbers, the denominators, are the same. And again, you can imagine how I would go through that video and model it for my students. I won't bother you with actually going through the entire thing. But what a great way for you to be able to model work. I've also seen teachers use screencasts as a way to show kids how to use a program on the iPad. So versus having to teach the kids how to do all these little parts, you could show the kids, open up an app, show them how it works, show them how it saves, post that to your website, and then instead of kids asking you, how do I use this app, they'll have a video there of you explaining for them how to do it. All right, so what do I do when I'm done with a screencast and I'm ready to post it to my website or give it to the kids to be able to watch? I'm going to go ahead and click Done. And the way that I would suggest saving your screencast is publish to video file. Later we'll talk about how to get it on YouTube, which is also a really great option. But I like having a video file because then if you want to go back and make adjustments later, you have that file that you can maybe pull into iMovie and kind of tweak a little bit if you need to. So let's click Publish to Video File. And then there's a few options here. You can choose to do HD, which will make it just higher quality. I mean, depending on the video, that really doesn't matter a whole lot. We're going to save the video. It's going to ask me where do I want to save this. I'm going to just call this example, save it to my desktop. And depending on the length of the video, it could take anywhere from a few seconds to a couple of minutes for it to actually save. But you'll notice it's showing up right here on my desktop. It'll give you, a countdown of how long it's taking. And once it's done, you'll have that actual file to use. My screencast has finished publishing. Now, what if you want to upload it to YouTube so that you could post it to your website, for example? So here's my video file, and you may or may not realize this, but you already have a YouTube account through your My Panthers Google Doc. I'll show you, I'm actually logged in right now to YouTube through my Panthers Google Docs account, which is your @mypanthers.org account. So if I want to add a video to YouTube, I already have this account I can do it with. This is my school account. All I'm going to do is click Upload, grab it, drag it right here, and then there's a few things that you'll fill out. First of all, you'll give it a title, and this one was about adding fractions practice, right? Description, that's really up to you if you want to give a more thorough description. Privacy setting, that's important. Public means anyone can see it. Unlisted means only people who have the link can see it. Private means just like it sounds, it's completely private. So for your kids, I mean, if it's just an educational video, there's really no issue making it public, right? Unlisted would be if it's something that you would just want within your classroom and you provide the link to the kids, one-on-one. A couple more things you may want to consider under advanced settings. Do you want kids to be able to comment? There's pros and cons depending on what you're looking for with this video. Do you want users to be able to view ratings? For comments, another thing, you can approve the comments or you can just have them post without approval. And then there's a few other options here that are probably less important for your purposes. All right, you'll notice loading on YouTube takes quite a long time, especially if it's a long video. It could take a really long time, so just being patient with that is important. But when it's done, you'll have a link that you can then take and post directly to your website. Okay, so what we've done today is we've started on step 1 on downloading Screencast-O-Matic. Step 2, we talked about how you actually record your screencast, that you can pause, that you can rewind and redo something, and of course, I'm going to leave it up to you to come up with the many ways that you could utilize screencasting to help differentiate and support your students. I mean, there's endless opportunities. We talked about how to save your screencast, and finally we talked about how to upload it to YouTube so that you can post it to your video. I hope you found this helpful and that you have a great day. Thanks.